HMOs, a house of multiple occupation. This is a method of renting a house out to multiple tenants that are unrelated. It's often referred to as a house share. Now I wanted to find out more about how HMOs actually worked, so I decided to reach out to some experts, and eventually I struck gold. I managed to get an interview with an industry-leading HMO property investor. Meet Alfred Dzadey. Alfred has been investing for a number of years and through raising private finance has managed to build an epic HMO portfolio across Coventry. Alfred came and spoke at our Property Networking event in Manchester, and just before the event started, I managed to pull him into a room and interrogate him about all things HMO and his property journey in the hope that me and you watching this would benefit from some of the insights that he has. So without further ado, let's jump into the video where I question Alfred on how we went from 0 properties to an entire portfolio of cash flowing properties. So Alfred, welcome to the channel.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for having me. Good to be in Manchester for sure.
Yeah, so I kind of briefly explain what you do, but in your words, what is it you do in the property space?
So in layman's terms, obviously, I literally find a residential home and look to convert that into multiple units and rent them out to either students or young professionals. Obviously, the terminology in the property world is called HMOs, so houses of multiple occupations. And that's the kind of stuff my bread and butter, I would say. I wanted to get into the space and focus on one strategy and become the best at that strategy. Yeah. And that's what I've done.
So you didn't do any kind of buy-to-lets?
No,
single lets,
everyone asks us the question, oh, how did you get straight into HMO? Like, so I was very clear about what it is I wanted to get out of property.
Yeah.
And for me, it was about owning an asset and 2, getting high cash flow from the building. Yeah. And that kind of eliminates a lot of the strategies that are available to you. And HMO was the one that, for me, made sense. So that's the one I kind of narrowed down into, okay, cool, get a network of people around me who are doing HMOs, start to understand what does a HMO look like, how do you convert a house into a HMO, just getting familiar, and then now replicating that. And again, I haven't done anything creative, I've just replicated what works.
Okay.
Scaled.
Interesting. So you said you just did what you felt was right for you, what worked. What was that moment? When was that moment? Take us back to, because, you know, all the way back to the moment of going, not only do I want to invest in property, but I want to go for HMO. When was that moment? What was that moment like for you?
It was all because I wanted to earn more income. That's what stemmed from like me even looking into property. So I was in the corporate world, project manager, I was on a good salary, came out of university, year 1, enjoyed it, amazing. Now it's like, okay, cool, how do you make more money? Like, I'm on a good salary. I think at the time I was 40 grand, starting, coming out of uni. And it's like, okay, cool, how do we start to build more income? Because I've always aspired to be wealthy young and not want to make wealth in my late time. So I started to look at property as a vehicle. Well, even before that, I always talked about property as a vehicle that I'd buy one every 2 years or something as I do my career. So when I get to the end of my career, I've got a portfolio that supports me from an income perspective. And so at that time, I didn't even know property was like a bit, like you can see property as a business model. So me going into rooms, so I researched online, found a seminar, a free seminar, started to understand how to invest in property a lot better. And I actually found there's actually a business behind this property investing. It's not just like, oh, buy one here, buy one there. And I got really immersed in property education because I was like, I don't want to go into this blind. I want to know that what I'm doing is right and I'm being taught. So I invested heavily into my education at the time. I always mention, everyone looks at me crazy how you spend so much money on courses and stuff and mentorship programs. But I'm a big believer on getting educated. Anything you want to do, just don't go in blind. Obviously, in this day and age as well, we have a lot more resource available to us. So there is podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever. There's resource online for you to be able to access, to be able to learn even just through that and then build on that. And for me, I just built a network around me and I think that's what helped accelerate my journey. Because I'm big on like seeing is believing. If I can see that, Jack, you've done the things I'm trying to do, for me then my self-belief shoots. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, you're relatable, you're doing it, it makes sense. So now I'm trying to literally, because my background as well, just to kind of put in context, I'm an engineer. I did an engineering degree. So I'm very like solution oriented. It needs to be logical. It needs to be like, that's my mindset when it comes to things. So literally that was my approach in getting into property investment. How can we reverse engineer it and become a property investor, have multiple properties, providing the income. So that's what drove me into looking at properties and obviously back to choosing HMOs specifically because I wanted to have a high cash flow property, and HMOs was the one that fit in the bracket.
So when was this?
So I think I started my education back 2018, I want to say.
Yeah.
But I didn't buy anything. This is what everyone, again, so like when I first started courses, I didn't buy anything for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was only because I got sidetracked. So as part of the program that I was on, we was taught creative finance, which is about basically, in essence, borrowing money cheaply and being able to utilize the money and present an opportunity to somebody else who potentially has money sat there doing nothing. And I took the opportunity as I could implement that right now. I know people that need money and they're in business, they're in the event space. If I can raise the capital, which I believe I had a network in my working environment, I can then provide them the capital they need, which solves their problem, and they can go and do the events that they've been doing for years and years and years. So it was kind of a trust relationship with that partner, I guess. So I would literally raise the finance for that. So that's what I was doing. I was borrowing 10, 20 grand. We got up to 50 grand for like freshers events.
Nice.
And then at that point, it's like, okay, cool. It's all great doing events, but you have to keep repeating the event to make the money.
Yeah.
So lump sums are great, don't get me wrong. We're making money. We never lost any money, anything like that. But the benefit of doing that as well, it helped build credibility with my investors. So people that I initially approached, we obviously started small. They were like even started as low as 5 grand, 10 grand, and they were like short-term loans. So when it came onto the bigger stuff, they'd seen me because in parallel I was documenting my journey, my education journey. So they'd seen that. So it wasn't even like a big thing when I said, oh, I'm looking at investing in property, because they're like, hey, we've seen you, we see you on courses, you leave work early to go and network and stuff. So we know you've been doing this and wanting to get into this, and clearly it's now the right time. So that 50K got rolled into my first deal, and that's just literally just like a spiral from there, just deal after deal, and then just kept going.
Nice.
And obviously the investment pots got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you've kind of go through this process of, because I did a very similar thing to you. I was kind of had a bit of an aha moment where I was like, oh my word, there's people in this world making a lot of money in property.
Yes.
I need to work out how I can do the same. And so I did loads of research, watched loads of videos, read books, went to courses, paid for mentorship.
Yeah.
People were like blown away with how much I spent. And I was a little bit blown away at times, but it positions you in a way more mentally than through what I learned educationally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Of like, do you know what, mindset-wise, I'm ready to invest.
You're all in.
Yeah, I'm all in.
You're making that jump.
Yeah.
And for me, it's actually a selling point. When I'm sitting across the table to an investor, I can actually say I spent 25 grand on property education. That just blows their minds. Like, who in their right mind decides they want to put 25 grand into some sort of educational platform, whatever, community. To the normal average individual, that's insane. Like go buy a house, go even buy a car. Like there's like, go buy something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, of substance? They perceive that stuff to be of substance.
Yeah.
So they actually, my level of respect goes up when I mention, oh, I've got a mentor, I spend this much money to be in this community, and the active like involvement in networks and stuff, which I document, they like that.
Yeah.
And it's a great selling point.
The way I saw it when I was investing, I thought, I invest the money to seriously lower the risk of losing more money. So I was like, I'd rather pay the money now to reduce the risk and reduce the likelihood of me failing, so that it's more likely that I succeed in the future. So you go through this process of education, right, and you pick HMOs. What was the kind of next step that you went on to go, right, first one, let's do this? What was the next step for you?
So I'm quite fortunate. I think things have just kind of worked mysteriously in a weird way. It's all kind of pieced together, made sense, and worked out. From the point of view is, one, I'm an engineer, and two, I worked in project management. So those two combined, I think that's lethal for me. Like, if you have those two skill sets, that mindset, that discipline, managing people, you're gonna go far. So working at Jaguar Land Rover, they're a massive company. I was working on an engine program. We had like 300 engineers. So from that perspective, I got to see, well, one, me being a manager, and two, being these different teams that all create components to create the entire engine. It was a similar thing, like, okay, if I'm gonna go into business, I wanna work with a team, an established team that's done this time and over, they're experts in this field. So I didn't have any experience in HMO. So it's like, how do I bridge the gap? And even the lenders asked the question, what's your experience, Alfred, in HMOs? Like, my team is here, they've done it 10 times over, they're local builders in the area. So that already bridges the gap of credibility in terms of being able to deliver that product. Now it's about how do you design a HMO, and again, a team, architect. Architect's there, he's done HMOs for other investors in the area. So I'm minimizing my risk by working with expert people who have done this. So people can argue, yeah, but you're hiring people that are one of high value and therefore costing you more money. But I'm like, well, I want to make sure I get it right. That's the most critical bit for me. Like, I don't mind spending extra money if I know I'm going to get the result I'm intending. So let's spend the money and get it right the first time, as opposed to cut corners, try and save some money and whatever.
With less, so you get the same result, but you get there quicker, more efficiently, to a higher standard, with less stress.
Exactly. So, and I've started in the way out, to end as well, and that's another big thing as well. I don't just do things. Like, if there needs to be a bigger picture. I rarely will entertain an idea or say yes to things if there isn't a bigger picture to it. Or if we aren't going to do it properly. Like, I'm not half-hearted. I'm all in or not in at all. I'm very point blank. Like, I'm literally 100 miles per hour with the idea. Let's make it happen. Or like, no, from get go, just no. So that's my philosophies and how my mindset is around running business in general. Forget even just property, just business. And I think that came through working at Jaguar Land Rover. That's what I mean by I feel like I was fortunate to learn that, because I only saw that in the corporate world.
In 10 seconds, just explain what Article 4 is and how that affects HMOs.
So Article 4 is a direction in the country. So basically, Article 4 prevents you from being able to take a house or dwelling in planning terms and convert that into a HMO. So it's pretty much widespread across the UK at the moment. Most cities it's being enforced or about to be enforced. Where I invest now, Coventry, literally is coming in next July. So one of the last few cities left to remain in. So it's getting tougher, but people are finding creative ways to still be able to invest in the area, because again, Article 4 direction is not necessarily across the whole entire city. It might be zones.
Pockets.
So I guess being informed again is very, very important. Being in a network of people that are still investing in the area and understand how they still invest in Article 4 area. And you'll find the ways they're maneuvering around it. And also there's clever ways, i.e. so you don't lose your rights if you've already had a HMO license or a HMO property prior to it coming in. So if you buy an existing HMO and convert it further, it's fine. Obviously if you go past the 6 or 7 rooms, then you need to go for planning anyways. So for me, Article 4 doesn't really play a huge factor, because all my properties have always been pretty much, I've always gone for planning for 7+ people.
So you get the planning permission anyway. It's the people. It affects the people who are thinking that, oh, it's going to be dead easy because what I'm going to do is buy a 3-bedroom terrace and I'm going to just turn the lounge into another bedroom, and then I've got HMO and I'm laughing. It's not that simple anymore. It used to be in a lot of areas, but I think Article 4's changed that, and all the licensing
and it's a good thing as well, because ultimately what the council are trying to do is make sure we are designing good HMOs, providing good accommodation for tenants, and I'm big on that. Like, if you see my properties on my YouTube channel, like, I want to provide the best. And again, that shows by the rents I'm achieving as well. So it's like people look at me like, how do you get this rent? How are you securing properties? How you rent so quickly? Like, because we're providing great products. We're going above and beyond what other landlords are willing to do for their tenants. And that's what's attracting people to want to live in my properties. So, perfect.
We need to jump into the networking event because people are arriving. But last question for people who are watching, just before we go. What one piece of advice would you give somebody who's thinking they've got money, or they can access money, raise the capital to invest in HMOs, they haven't got a single property yet? What would you advise them to do now, and what advice would you give with the experience that you've got?
So I tell you literally what I did. I literally reverse engineered what it takes to be a HMO investor. So I went and found HMO investors. Like, I wanted to, because before that I didn't have a network of HMO investors. So if I want to do HMO, I want to surround myself with HMO investors. And if I need to pay someone to go do a site day on their property, renovation, whatever they're doing, just get, again, because it's very hard as an average being to understand what it takes to convert a house and literally create these rooms and create this end product as a HMO. If you're not familiar with the site, even floor plans can be confusing if you're not familiar with it. So I literally studied what does a floor plan look like when you buy it versus how do you creatively change the space to make it look like a HMO. So I was looking at a lot of floor plans. That was massive for me. Then now it's okay, I've seen the theoretical side of it. I want to see it physically. What does 10 meter squared room look like in reality? So I can feel, okay, this, when a room, I know by just the room size, I know what size it is because I've seen it so many times. So it was just literally mapping it out from like end, start to finish. What type of properties are people buying?
Yeah.
What strategies are they doing? Are they taking a 2-bed and convert to 5-bed? Are they taking a 4-bed and taking it to 6 or 7 or 8? Like what type of property are they looking for and how are they turning it? So all these little nuances I was trying to figure out and then piece it all together. Once I understood it, I was like, and again, I didn't wait to understand it all.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, people want to find every little information. No guys, wrong thing. Just, you need to know enough and have a power team around you that can support you in the journey, because you're never, I promise you, even now, I still see challenges, new things can pop up, and I've done several HMOs now. So just, you need to know enough, get a team around you that are experts in that field, and they will guide you with your direction as well.
Yeah.
Don't be ignorant and feel like, oh, because they're the experts, whatever they say. No, you are accountable, you own the property, they're providing you a service.
Yeah.
So you are the captain of the ship and need to steer it and direct your team how you want things doing, with their guidance, obviously. And that's what they're there for, their guidance, rather than telling you what to do, pretty much.
Yeah. Perfect. Last thing then, the very last thing, just because it's off the back of what you just said. Where does somebody find a team like that?
Again, there's nothing, all these things, I feel like people are thinking like, this is common sense, but literally, I went and found HMO investors in my local area, and literally said who we're using, or another alternative, agents. The letting agents, they know who builders in the area.
How do you find the investors who
So networking events. So most areas have a local pin.
Yeah.
That's the easiest, quickest way to find a local investor in your area. So when you connect with them, oh hi, blah blah, looking to get HMOs. They're like, look, I have a few HMOs. Bang. You want to say, look, I would love to be able to see one of your properties. Any chance I can come around and see one of your renovations if possible. I don't mind paying for your time. Don't want to kind of feel like it's freebie, whatever. Just ask the question. The worst thing you can say is no.
Yeah.
Just trying to find a person that says yes. And then once you find that person that says yes, you want to go around and explore. And again, don't just look at one person. So I didn't do anything that's why I didn't do anything for a while. That 2 years was just me navigating, finding out bits and pieces. So I just looked at different things and found what I liked the best.
Yeah.
And made my own model. I want to say make my own model, but it's pretty much an existing model, but
put your own stamp on it.
Yeah, put my own stamp on it is the word. Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much what I would say.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brill. Alfred, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for jumping on the channel. Guys, I hope you found this video really helpful. If you have, make sure that you click the like button, comment any questions that you've got, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Alfred, where can people find you on social media? How can people
just my name, so Alfred Dzadey. Just Instagram is where I'm mainly at, but all social media platforms I'm on there, so just feel free to connect me on there. Good to,
Amazing. I'll put his links in the description, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.